So in the last video, I promised you guys that we would be starting a new project on the downstairs, and today I want to go over what that is going to be. So over the next few videos or so, we're going to follow along on this project. It's actually multiple projects, and hopefully you guys are going to enjoy it. So where I am standing at the moment is in the dining room kitchen area, and this is one of the areas that we finished off first. I tackled the kitchen as my first woodworking project, and Romy did all of the terracotta tiles in this space, which took a huge amount of time to do because they were so uneven. So this room is really the first place that we kind of came together and managed to do everything ourselves and really finish it off to a standard that we were really happy with. And today it is one of the rooms that we love the most. It has got this beautiful light throughout the day. It's super open. It conjoins the living room area, so you have this wonderful large space which is really open and airy, and it's really joy to be in, and we love spending time here. But whilst it looks good on camera, there is a couple of things that we have yet to do in this space that we have just left off our list of things to do because we just had more pressing things to do, and I will show you what I mean now. So this is the pantry area that comes off the right hand side of the kitchen. It's a small room that used to be here, which apparently was an old musical practice room for the very first owner of the house. Don't know if that's true. It sounds a bit fake to me. But anyway, there was a small room just down here that was walled off to the kitchen space, and it had an entrance through the living room, and we knocked through this wall here so that we could make it all one long space. And now today we basically use it as a pantry, so it has kitchen storage with all of our food items, etc. It is in a very disorganized mess at the moment, and also right at the end you might be wondering what the hell this large white long object is, and that is just the electrical counter. And the reason why there's exposed cables at the moment is just for the upstairs, for the attic. Those cables aren't connected to anything. What we want to do here in the pantry is basically make it a more cohesive space with the kitchen, and this is where I need your guys' help to help us decide what we want to do. Just to explain the designs I want to run past you guys, I'll just give you a bit of a thinking about our design process and when we went into thinking about this space. So initially when we designed this space, we wanted to have the built-in fridge. So you can see the fridge behind me, that is actually a built-in fridge. So what we wanted to do is surround that with a cabinet in the very same style that we have for the rest of the kitchen cabinets, inset face frame with that egg blue from Farrow & Ball. And then we were thinking of having 2 additional large full-length cupboards, which would have built-in storage for all of our pantry items, etc. Our process or our thinking has changed a little bit since we did that first design because we've lived with this space a little bit. We have decided, and I'm not sure, obviously I want your guys' feedback and what you think about this, but we have decided we want to keep the built-in fridge. That's going to remain, so we're going to have a built-in surround for the fridge. And then what we want to have is kind of still open plan storage for a lot of the pantry items. Now the reason for this, and it might not be clear on the camera, or it might be clear on the camera, I don't actually know until I see the footage, is that this space is relatively small. So to open a cupboard in this space, it's quite a tight squeeze. So what we plan to do is build a long work surface, which will have bottom cabinets underneath, and those will have open shelving, so those will be still storing pantry items like food, but we can organize them in different ways. And then on top of it, we're going to have another shelving unit that is built half length over that work surface, and we'll have more shelving to put into it. And then right at the end, by the washing machine, we'll have a full length shelving unit where we can put in some of the cleaning items and detergents and stuff like that. The reason why we have that weird full length end shelving unit is because the actual window over on that side is slightly too close to the wall on the left hand side, so it building out the countertop all the way along would basically hit into the window, so we can't actually move the countertop all the way along. So that's the ideas that we have. As I said, I will put some designs up on the screen now, early designs, and if you have other ideas about how we can organize the pantry space better, maybe cupboards aren't an option because of the space, but is there other things that you're thinking about, like drawers or stuff like that, that's worked in potentially your homes or other people's homes that you've seen about? Would love to know your thoughts. Right, So that is the pantry, but before we start that project, there is another one that I will probably be getting started with first that I again need your help with. And let's switch to the kitchen for me to explain this a little bit in more detail. Okay, so before we tackle the pantry, and whilst I'm waiting for your guys' feedback and some design decisions that we make with that, the project that we are going to start ASAP is a hob extraction unit. We have a built-in smaller extraction unit which is over the stove. However, when we are cooking for larger parties or just making larger batch meals, the problem that we find is that the smell just stays around in the space for quite some time. So what I'm going to do is put an extraction unit over the hob, but also build a surround around the extraction unit to keep it in keeping with the design of the kitchen and make it a bit more seamless with the space. And so this is where I need your guys' help, because I'm struggling to wonder whether we make that unit in the same color as the walls we have now so that it kind of blends into the walls, or should we have it a contrast color which is the same as the cabinets that we have on the base here. I'm going to start that ASAP. I'm not going to be able to start it this video because we're still waiting on the actual extraction unit to come so that I can properly make sure that the surround that I build is the right size and everything like that. So give your feedback on the pantry and the hob extraction, and then next video we'll go over what the choices were, what people were thinking, and I'll probably redo some of the designs and we will move in a direction which is a little bit more, let's say, cohesive. All right, thanks for your help, I appreciate it. So in the last video, we got this massive delivery of yet more wood fiber insulation, which, as you know, I absolutely detest. I cannot stand this stuff. So I want to get this job over with as quickly as possible. And what we're going to do today is try and insulate all of the remaining interior walls that I can do. I can't do some of the interior walls, notably in the bathroom, because we're going to have to wait for the plumber to do some piping work there for the bath, etc. and stuff like that. But all of the rest of the internal walls, I'm going to try and put this insulation in and get it so that it's ready for the plasterboard so that I can order that. Romy and I can try and put that in as soon as possible. We'll maybe get to that this video. We'll see how far we get along. This is the task I just want to get done, get out of the way, so let's get to it.
Tu Pierto suona in coppia e giornalette e mamma ti minaccia e pata ti s'arraccia. Te fanno girare capo sti fumetti, guardando dentro specchio, puoi fare il toreador, come fanno a Santa Fe, come fanno ad Hollywood, e questa scusa in uno studio più. Oh, torero, te si piazzata in capo stu sombrero, dice che si spagnolo e non è vero, che naccari in da sacca vai a ballare, mescolando bolero ciacciacchi vuon brugliare. Torero, sti basetta sudamericano, uno sigari avani a gamba se le picche. Torero, torero, olè. Ti fatta giacchettella corta corta, e casuncella stritta, io riccioli in fronte. Te rida a gentarete non ti importa, te sento un Marlon Brando che a spasso se ne va per le vie di Santa Fe, per le vie di Hollywood, e innamorata tu non te vuoi più. E torero, te si piazzata in capo stu sombrero, dice che si spagnolo e non è vero, che naccari in da sacca vai a ballare, mescolando bolero ciacciacchi vuon brugliare. Torero, sti basetta sudamericano, uno sigari avani a gamba se le picche. Torero, torero, olè. Cia cia cia,
one?
Rosemary, I think. We'll try to bring it back.
Today, relatively exciting day-ish.
Yeah.
Well, it's semi-exciting, I guess. But we're going to try and start putting in the final plasterboard for this bedroom space. It's the only room that we can really finish all the plasterboarding in because, as I said last time, in the last couple of episodes, we have other people coming in, like the plumber, the electrician and things like that, who need access to other areas. So we're going to try and finish off the walls for this space, but leave some of the other areas open. Yeah, so we just this morning brought up all of the
Plasterboards, which is why we look super sweaty. Sorry.
Yeah, it's quite humid outside and we have got really quite sweaty, so we're looking very shiny. We're using these smaller plasterboards, which you might notice, because we just couldn't get the big ones through the stairs. The method that Fred and I used the last time with the pulley system, it just won't work now because we have the internal walls there, so we had to choose these smaller boards to get through the stairs. So Romy and I did some
exercise.
gymnastics this morning to get through the stairs. Yes, I think that's it. We're going to do a few hours before lunch and then we'll have a break and then we'll try and tackle it afterwards. So let's get to it.
Yes, let's do it. Push it a bit more so it's in the middle.
Nice.
Very well done.
Okay, so let's work out where the bed is. Yep, 73. Wow.
Pretty exciting.
That's short by 7 centimeters. Okay, so what was the measurement initially?
Et c'est pas trop mal, hein?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Okay.
We do the holes.
We've done a corner.
We've done a corner.
I mean, to be fair, we only started at 12.
It's true, that's true.
Because we spent the morning picking up the plasterboards, so...
No, I'm happy with the progress. I think it's pretty good. Like, it was, as always, learning process with like a lot of these things, but I think we made some good progress. There was moments where it was very frustrating where we had to recut a lot of different plasterboards because we didn't cut it right and it didn't work.
Too many angles.
Too many angles, as always. But it's looking good. I think the space, like in general, although there's just this little corner, I think it looks good.
Well, it was becoming more concrete, which is quite nice because we bought this house at Christmas. It's going to be 3 years. So it's a long time where this space was just wasted space.
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting to feel like soon we're going to be able to utilize the space.
Don't say soon because
we're going to be able to host people, host friends and family.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, it would be nice. So it was tough. It's going to be, I think, finishing putting up the plasterboards and then doing like the
Enduit and
the bands like that you put in between each plasterboard.
Skimming, yeah.
And then the sanding this.
Yeah.
There's still like a few quite messy, tough jobs ahead, but
it's getting there.
We're getting there. We're getting closer.
Getting closer.
Every day we work on it. So thanks for driving this.
All right. Shower.
Shower and burgers.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you know, we spend a lot of time and effort working on this room, making it look very nice. And it does look very nice, but I think there is one thing that doesn't fit our aesthetic, and I bet you can see it right now. It's the cat tree. So don't worry, the goal of today's video is not to get rid of the cat tree. This is Phoebe's house as much as it is ours. And also she really likes this cat tree. She spends a lot of time, especially in winter, above the radiator in the little hammock. She really likes it. She hangs out on it when we're watching TV. So we're not getting rid of it. We're not changing the cat tree, but we are going to be reupholstering it. I really wanted to work on something decor related this week. And I've really enjoyed doing the ottoman. So I'm going to use some of the leftover fabric that I have from the ottoman to improve the cat tree. It also needs some work anyway. We need to redo the rope sections. So yeah, and hopefully making it look nice and cozy for her. And as per usual, I'm sure she won't be grateful at all, but that's okay. We'll live with that.
Slabang i regnet som tindrar och skrattar i hunden som slickar din hand. Slabang i pojken på gatan som snattar i båten som gnager mot land. Slabang i människornas hjärtan som trummar i handen som klappar en häst. Slabang i björnar och humlor som brummar i saker du umgås med mest. Slabang är att vissla en vissling. Slabang är att kasta en boll. Slabang är att gissa en gissning. Slabang är att glömma din roll. Slabang är oron som irrar på gator. Slabang är sommaren som gick allt för fort. Slabang är höstar och flaxande skator. Slabang är allt som du borde ha gjort.
Okay, for these next sections, I'm going to use a different fabric. I'm going to use this boucle cheap fabric because as much as I love Phoebe and I know she deserves the best, this is a really expensive fabric. So she's going to have one element in this. And then maybe I'll make like a little pillows for this inside. And then the rest is going to be this boucle, which she really likes. And she had another cat tree once and she could scratch it. And I won't get mad about this. And then we've got another color for another piece. But we're going to figure out how to do this one. I'm not too sure, to be honest. So it might not be perfect, but I mean, it's a cat tree, so.
Slabang i masken du tappar på balen. I munnen som lyser så röd. Slabang i stunden du härligt blev galen och dockan som dansar så spröd. Slabang i vinden som leker runt knutar i våren, i mars och april. Slabang i trädet som brusar och lutar i molnen som aldrig står still. Slabang är att sola i solen. Slabang är att springa omkull. Slabang är att skolka från skolan. Slabang är att samla lullull. Slabang.
So this is not going to be obviously my best work. I mean, this is a cat tree. It doesn't need to be perfect. But I figured out, I tested out how to wrap everything around. And so instead of like upholstering, I guess I'm treating this almost like wrapping paper. And wherever I can see staples anyway, there will be like additional pillows or things inside that will hide them. And so I essentially just wrap around, and then it looks okay. And I quite like this fabric. It's pretty neutral, but I think it will be a good backdrop to a pattern one. So let's go with it. I do a little hem as well, just so it's a bit prettier, but it doesn't really need to be, especially where there's going to be the pillow. And I just try to have enough tension.
Catherine's swallow marriage was never consummated. That's why a paper dispensation was granted.